Hi, friends. Surprise. I decided to go live for today's class. I am hopefully going to be able to see the comments as they come in, but there is a little lag. So if you happen to be on today and you're intrigued by my birds, you're in the right place. Welcome to day one of our challenge. I'm so excited to be here with you today. Um, you know what? Hi, friends. Surprise. I decided. I heard myself talking. That was fun. Okay, guys. So today's class is all about growing in awareness. And I named the class Growing in Awareness because if you really think about it, if you think about awareness being a destination, where are we really trying to go? Where are we going to be when we're one day fully aware? To me, awareness is a process and it's something that is almost like a blooming onion, right? It comes in at stages of our lives and we start looking into the next stage. And at the end of the day, you really don't have to be aware of absolutely anything. You can totally, as the classic example goes, my version of an ostrich, just stick your head in the ground and have the comfort, or, whatever the ground may be for our daily lives, have the comfort of stability and safety and security, not challenging ourselves, not doing things that are um, setting boundaries or expanding boundaries for us. So, if we're never really going to get to this place where we're fully aware, and awareness is this continual process that we're going to have to go through all of the time, why? Like, why do we want to be aware, right? So, if you signed up for this class, which you did, and that's why you're in this program, I know that there's two things that have to be true about you. One of those things is that you are someone who has an area or areas of your lives where you feel like there could be some enhancement, right? You feel like you could be in a more successful job or a more fulfilling career. You feel like you could have a more deep, meaningful relationship. You feel like you could get way more organized on your time and not be so sporadic or all over the place. You feel like you could have a deeper purpose filled experience in your life and more meaning in your life. And if you have any areas in your life or just a general perspective that, like, look, I just want to level up a lot of areas of my life, that's why you're in a program like this, right? Otherwise, you're very happy being the ostrich with its head in the sand. The other thing that I know to be true about you, if you're in this program, is that you're also ready to do the work. And sometimes that work can be uncomfortable. And sometimes that work can challenge us. And sometimes that work is not work that all people are running headfirst to do. So just take a moment right now to really celebrate yourself for not only having this initial awareness of wanting to better an area of your life, but also being here and being willing and ready to jump in to do the work to actually create a more purpose filled, a more joyful, more grateful life. So, as you guys see, we have our little friends here, our typical kind of unaware ostrich in the head. Ostrich with its head in the sand experience. And then we have the ostrich that's like walking around, seeing everything, and kind of has the clarity. So, the stories about these two ostriches is that really the one that has its head in the sand, and this is why awareness is so difficult. In order to get from where he is to where the other ostrich is, first he's got to take his head out. And this is like what happens to a lot of us all the time, right? We say that maybe, for myself, I'll use this example a lot in this program, but I definitely have in the last 2 years really changed my career orientation. And I reached kind of the top level of one career path that I was on. And the next level involved me sacrificing many things that I wasn't willing to sacrifice, like more time and I was a server, so I just loved having, and I got to like the creme de la creme of restaurants. So I worked 20 hours a week. I worked all at night. I never had to take my work home with me. I was the boss of my own experience all the time, right? And I always looked at serving as like, oh, okay, cool. I'm just renting real estate for this experience, but I'm going to create the momentum. I'm going to create the energy. I'm going to create the vibe for my tables. And I always saw it as my own thing. And I got to a place where I was landing super high end serving jobs fairly easily. And quite often I would be offered managerial positions. And I always declined the managerial positions because the next level to me, yes, it could have involved more money. But I mean, I was already like $400 a night was like, yeah, that's a good night. Like, it's a, to me, more money was not even something that I was looking at. I was looking at, hey, as a manager in the service industry, right? That's like 60 hours of work a week. That's every single holiday. So all of my freedoms, the whole reason I wanted to be a server had gone away. And at a certain point, I realized that I had to take my head out of the sand and like realize that, yeah, I'm in my early 30s, late 20s. This is when this realization really happened for me. And I could totally be a server like this for the rest of my life, live on Maui, live my dream life. Everything is going to be absolutely awesome. And I still would be uncomfortable because there, inside of me, I wanted more. I wanted to reach for more. And I think that's kind of a natural evolution of what happens to us in life. We reach these pinpoints where we kind of reach a height, and then from there we want to go on and we want to have something different, right? And when I pulled my head out of the sand and I realized that, like, what the hell was I going to do was my question. I don't even know what other career I could have. Who else is going to give me as much money as I'm earning and give me the flexibility to be myself? And so this started the whole process. And just because I had these ideas, I was still working in the service industry, but I was starting to ruminate, and how would this look and what would that be like? And that started causing a lot of discomfort for me. Sometimes when, to pivot, when we're in a relationship, I have witnessed divorces this past year. And, it's kind of like this process where first we start acknowledging and seeing which part of our needs aren't met in the relationship, and then you start to work on it and you start to see if you can mend things. And as the process develops, it's not like an instantaneous, like, hey, are we going to keep this marriage going or are we not? It's usually such an evolution, and that's that taking your head out of the sand process and moment. So the whole concept of this group is how quickly can we go from realizing that our head was in the sand to figuring out how to pull it out, assessing the situation, figuring out where point A is, where we are, where we want to go, what point B is, and what the dangers are on the game are on the pathway there, so we can really have a game plan, and that leads us with passion and joy and excitement in order to create resiliency and grit, even when the going gets tough, to the new point B. And then once we get to that point B, it's the next evolution and the next and the next. So this is kind of my example of how I was thinking of this, right? Instead of having our two friends here, and one's just looking around and one is unaware, the way that I really see it, sorry guys, is imagine it's like you having your head in the clouds, not in the sand. And so this is the pattern that I have really witnessed, and I want to kind of tell you a personal experience. And we're going to go through this so much more as this program unfolds, and we're going to make every aspect of this journey easier and easier and easier for us. But basically, as you will hear me say throughout the program, so I tried on Orthodox Judaism for 4 years through a sect of Orthodox Judaism that is very mystical in the teachings and the presentation and the personal development level of it. And I learned so much from my time there. I lived in Jerusalem during that point in time. And when I was learning the mystical aspect of Orthodox Judaism, one of the things, according to the Kabbalah, is that everything that's in the Torah, like the stories in the Torah, are actually relevant to us every single day, all the time. And constantly around the time of Passover, when we read this portion of the Torah, the time of the Jews leaving Egypt, so there would be a common teaching that Kabbalistically, on a mystical level, Egypt is the representation of our own cage that we set for ourselves, our own entrapment, our own barriers, our own limitations, our own, beliefs that stop us from accomplishing our greatness. And what it means for the Jews to leave Egypt is actually that every single one of us in this day, in this life, is that spirit, so to say, that has to leave their confinements, their own box, their limitations. And I would hear this story over and over again. And the rabbis would always say, so it is our job to leave Egypt. And I would never hear like the rest of the story, or the rest of the story would be, so to me, it was like, okay, if it's my job to leave Egypt right now, how? And how does that happen consistently all the time, every day? And so the story that I would hear all the time from the rabbis, the how would be, you have to do this, 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 and this, which were the outside actions in Jewish philosophy. So if you keep kosher and you dress a certain way and you pray 3 times a day and so on and so forth, that's how you leave Egypt. And so I tried that, right? And I really tried to try those things on, but I realized that underneath just taking actions from the outside has to really be an internal leaving of Egypt. And it really got me thinking. And as I researched it more, there's other different aspects of the Torah where there's actually a conversation that Moses is having with God. And he says to God, listen, I don't know if I can go approach Pharaoh. Like, he is so strong. He is so big and grand and mystical. And he has this whole kingdom. And I'm really not sure if I can. I'm Moses, I don't know if I can fight a whole king like that and a kingdom like that. And God looks at Moses and he says, I'm going to paraphrase in my own words. He says, seriously? Like, you think that Pharaoh isn't me as well? You don't think I am there as well? And the way that God says this is by actually saying bo al para, which means bo means to come to Pharaoh. So God doesn't tell Moses, you have to go to Egypt. You have to go defeat Egypt. You have to go leave Egypt. God is actually telling Moses, no, you have to come into Egypt. And I think this is kind of the beauty of mystical Judaism, is that all aspects. So we have this idea that Egypt seems so scary, right? But really, that is the place where greatness happens. If you can go internally into your Egypt and in that place have awareness, you can truly from there start creating outer change in your world. And this program is going to be all about this philosophy that I created about, instead of an ostrich being in the sand, the ostrich's head is in the clouds, right? So basically, it's like, if this is our body, and our body is comfortable with a certain pattern, with a certain framework, with a certain thought work, and like me, I was just cruising in the service world and making great money and having all the time off in the world, and then my head reached for a different world, that different layer, that different onion. And for a small part of it, until I actually knew what coaching was, how to work with a coach, how to be a coach, until I got certified, until I started working with clients, there was a part for me that was in between, right? Where you're not quite in one world and you're not quite in another. You don't know what to do with yourself. And that part gets really, really tense and tight sometimes. And so this is the part where you start having awareness. And it's a constant journey. You're always going to go through these cycles. As soon as your body catches up and it kind of becomes automatic, you're going to have new dreams, new goals, new desires. And so this is a constant process of life. So awareness is this beautiful, beautiful key. And the 5 ways that I believe we can be truly aware is what I call the 5 elements of awareness. So, what I thought was missing in Judaism for me was I wasn't getting enough on how to go deeper and how to go inside, right? So, my question was, how? How do I get out of Egypt? And so I started really studying not only things from Jewish aspects, but personal development tools. And in my work with, life coaching now, I really realized that there's 5 amazing elements of awareness. And those elements are going to be our circumstances. Basically, those are actual facts that everyone can be agreeant upon, can be proven in the court of law, so to say. So our circumstances would be like in Georgia right now at 12:15 p.m. in the afternoon. Oh, that means I got to cut this class shorter, huh? I've been live for a minute. At 12:15 in the afternoon, it is 59 degrees Fahrenheit, right? We can look that up. It can be proven in the court of law in Alpharetta, Georgia. So those are kind of observable things in our outer world. But that is something we can bring awareness to. And some of those things make us happy, and some of them make us, a little bit sadder, a little bit more shocked, different reactions in our body, different thoughts. So our thoughts are basically sentences in our brain. We usually have a lot of thoughts about ourselves, our circumstance, other people, how we're feeling, what's going on in life. But just to make it really, really simple, thoughts are just sentences in our brain. And that's another aspect that we can have awareness of. The next one is going to be our feelings and our emotions. And our feelings and our emotions are basically sensations in our body, vibrations in our body, different experiences of feelings, of sensations in our body, right? Usually a biochemical, physiological response to a thought or a circumstance, a trigger in your environment. Then we have our actions, basically the things we do, and our results. And the way that I look at our results is actually the results become the new circumstances of, right, this pattern, this blooming onion that we go through. So our results are going to be the new circumstances, which we produce by taking a series of actions. All right, guys, we're going to go into these each individually on Wednesday in quite a lot of detail. But for today, what I want you to do is think of awareness with the framework of curiosity. So what I mean by that is, and this is the first step to being aware, right? To taking your head out of the sand, assessing your situation and where you are. The place where I notice that people really get this wrong is when they start to literally be mean to themselves. So curiosity is kind. And today's homework is going to definitely have this exercise involved for you to actually practice being curious. And I'm going to show you how. But just to think of the energy, the feeling associated with curiosity, right? Curiosity is like your new best friend throughout this challenge. Because curiosity is fun, it's encouraging, it feels easy. Pardon me, guys. It feels easy. Curiosity is usually super interesting. It's what makes us want to keep looking for more information and digging deeper. It is definitely empowering because it gives us it doesn't shut us down, right? It creates more openness, which empowers us to keep looking, to keep yearning, which makes it solution driven, answer driven. Curiosity finds answers, finds solutions to problems. It doesn't focus on the problem. And it's open, right? Energetically, almost in our body when we're being curious. Like if you really think about your emotional body, when you're in the energy of curiosity about something, if you like a certain type of music and you're exploring new artists, like it's exciting, it's open, it's you get kind of laser focused, it's very enjoyable. So most importantly, curiosity is kind and it is your best friend when it comes to being aware. The things that you don't want to do when you are trying to practice being more aware of your circumstances or your own thoughts, your own feelings, is you don't want to be judgmental. Any kind of judgment that you're putting on somebody, something. So Curiosity is, oh, 79 degrees outside out today in Georgia. What does that feel like? What does that feel like for me? What does that feel like for someone else? What grows when it's 79 degrees? I wonder if it's different just a few miles away, right? That's curiosity. Judgment would be like, it's really hot outside. I can't stand this. So, or 79 degrees. Oh my gosh, it's so muggy. You get what I'm saying? That's a judgment. So once you place a, which takes me, places a label on it, right? A lot of times we judge ourselves by placing labels. We say, I'm fat, I'm ugly, I'm not good enough, I'm so disorganized, I never have enough time, life is so stressful. All of those labels come from this place of judgment. None of those are curious. So something you're not allowed to do throughout the course of this challenge. No, I'm kidding. You're allowed to do it all. Bring it all to the table. Speak to me. We'll definitely work on those if you're having those thoughts. You'll see that in the exercise to come. But really take awareness when you are judging yourself, when you're possibly placing blame. Oh, it's all his fault, or it's the government's fault, or it's, because of this, this, and this that I cannot. How do you assess your circumstances? Is there blame attached to it? When there's shame attached to it, I'll never be good enough, I am just not worthy, right? Those types of thoughts and feelings. Do you find yourself comparing a lot? That would be like, well, she has it, why can't I? She created this in a year. She's got a beautiful boyfriend, why don't I, right? We all know what comparison feels like. You can see what mine would be if I was comparing. As you teach, the natural thoughts come out, huh? And it basically in your body feels yucky. It does not feel good to be judgmental, to be blameful, to be not kind. So you'll know you're doing this if emotionally it's like, oh, this is draining. If you don't like this exercise, then it's because you're not in curiosity, right? So basically, don't be mean to yourself during this challenge. As you open up and see that there's things going on in the world, know that the rest of this program and I and your one on one coaching sessions are all designed to guide you through this process. So, no beating up on ourselves. We're going to create this roadmap. We're going to figure out, we're going to get to the place where we're really thriving at the end of this 6 weeks. And the less time you spend judging and the more time you spend being curious and open and exploring ideas, even if it's something that triggers you. Like if I said something today and you were like, no, I don't agree with that, let's explore that, bring it to the table. But the judgment would be like, oh, she doesn't know what she's talking about. This program's not worth it. Right? Maybe I have something to learn from you, and I'm totally curious and open to do that. So make sure you bring it all, guys. So once we've established that we're doing things with curiosity, this is going to be our homework for today's challenge. So today we're doing a thought download homework. Now, I don't know who has played around with the planner, but I had so much fun filling mine out. And as I promised you guys, the best part about a thought download is that it becomes trash when you do it effectively. So this was my planner telling you I use this all the time, just like you guys. And I got to throw it away. And that is always the best part. So your homework, I want you to pick either just doing a general brain dump, thought download, or a specific area. Let's say you came to this challenge to really work on your time management. Let's say you came to this challenge to really pursue how you're going to organize your new business. Let's say you came here to work on your relationships. Pick that one specific category, or if you don't have a certain category, you're like, I just want to improve all areas of my life, just go life in general, right? And you're going to take a moment to free write. So this is no filter, guys. Don't stop yourself. All thoughts are welcome. For 5 to 10 minutes, you just take out a piece of paper, a journal, and just like your to-do list with our time management plan, The idea here is just to get all the thoughts on paper. So if it's relationships, you're going to write down absolutely everything you think about relationships. Life is so hard without a partner. This is so difficult finding a good man these days. I'll never find the one. I am so excited. I just know he's out there. It is so amazing to think that he's probably doing really cool stuff right now. I am just being the best version of me, and God will bring a partner into my life. Okay. So I just gave y'all my thought downloads from myself like a year ago to where I am now. And I don't know if you noticed how much my energy shifted, right? So I'm still single. The circumstance is still the same, but what I think about those ideas, totally different. But you're never going to know which thoughts A, you have when you pick your head up out of the sand, which ones you've been avoiding, what's been hiding under there, and B, which thoughts you want to have. Like, what would be really nice to think about yourself? What would that bring you into? What actions would that fuel? What feelings would that fuel? We're going to look at all of that tomorrow. But for now, your question is, or your curiosity question is after you do your free write, go through and ask yourself the following three questions. Is this thought true? Does this thought serve me? And do I want to keep this thought? How fun is that question? Like, do I want to keep it? How curious is that, right? Is it judgmental? I don't think so, right? So, really, really fun way to keep a thought download nice and curious. See what you're observing about yourself. Like for myself in the relationships a year ago, I'll never find a man. Is that true? Does that thought serve me? Do I want to keep it? Right. And that's how I progressed to, I am just so excited about him being out there doing something awesome right now. Because that is so purposeful to me. It's so serving. I can actually see like that my husband exists somewhere and he's doing amazing things in the world, even though I don't know him. It brings him into a physical existence. And how much closer is that thought to meeting my husband than, ugh, it's never going to happen, guys, right? Totally different energy. So then the last exercise is for Wednesday's class, pick a thought you'd like to keep and one you are ready to shed, when you're ready to say, hey, I don't want to keep this thought. And that's what I'm going to teach you to do on Wednesday. Now, last portion of your homework. This is going to be fun. This is a group challenge, guys. So I do want to make sure we are loving and vibing and becoming amazing soul sisters and supporting one another. So your homework part 2 is to make an introduction video about yourself in the Facebook group. Doesn't have to be long, 1 to 5 minutes, easy as, hey, my name is, tell us a super fun fact about yourself, something cool, something awesome. And then tell us a keeper thought and one you'd like to shed, one you'd like to get rid of, one that you are not going to keep. All right, guys. So do a thought download. Ask yourself with curiosity about your thoughts. Is this thought true? Is this thought serving me? Do I want to keep this thought? And then pick one thought you really like, you want to keep, one thought you're ready to get rid of and shed, and bring that to your little video, bring that to your Wednesday class. And I cannot wait to see you guys on Wednesday. I love you. I think you're amazing, amazing, amazing. And I will see you soon.